Yeah, so we were talking about how Shah Rukh has this propensity to, self-reflect on his career, right? But that really started in a sense with Farah Khan, because from Main Hoon Na, from Om Shanti Om, it started off as a bit of a joke, like he can't stop his hand from doing his pose when he sees Sushmita Sen, and gradually it's gone more and more serious. So do you think it's because the original references and the jokes in Main Hoon Na and Om Shanti Om clicked so well that maybe he's been repeating it, and when the serious filmmakers come into view, like you say Hirani or an Imtiaz Ali, they also take the self-reflection, but they make it a lot more subversive. You think that's where this has started?
Yes, I guess likely because I think, and Farah Khan is a great filmmaker in the sense like she loves film. You can see that there's a genuine affinity for her in her films, and
Yeah,
uh, so I guess when she partnered with Shah Rukh, I think Main Hoon Na was her initial one, but Om Shanti Om again they did it so well. They were in that joke, and I guess that's why maybe when films didn't work, Shah Rukh again started doing these things, and maybe he told these filmmakers again. We are guessing that he probably asked, to deconstruct his star image or talk about those. So I guess it could be possible that he's doing it. I do remember this one piece, where there was this, Rana Ayub had written about how Shah Rukh is also trying to do a little bit of, like his religious-based roles, like Muslim
yeah,
characters, like in Rais and then Dear Zindagi, Jug, and then even in Ae Dil Hai Mushkil. But then Shah Rukh replied to that again. I don't know if it was politically motivated because he doesn't want to turn something. He doesn't want to because at that point, he was hounded a lot, so
yeah,
maybe he explicitly denied that he doesn't think of these things. But again, I guess maybe he was trying to make his films work. He was trying a lot of things. And I think, maybe Amitabh Bachchan went through this phase as well, where,
yeah,
he was doing this Lal Badshah and all those things till Kaun Banega Crorepati
yeah,
came in and then he found his groove again. I think Shah Rukh went through that phase and perhaps he's found that thing that is working. So I hope it works for him and in his upcoming films as well. He finds that groove, and I think we are seeing that in Amir Khan now. Like his Lal Singh Chaddha didn't work, which wasn't that bad a film, and it just
yeah,
hurt him so much. So I guess again it comes down to just like filmmakers, maybe these guys also need to reinvent and think about their age. So I don't know how to look at somebody like Akshay Kumar because he's doing so many films that I don't even remember what
yeah,
he's done.
yeah,
So I guess they have to go through this struggle, and yeah, it's a hard part. Like, these film stars have been there for like 30 years, and now this
yeah,
new crop coming up with the new generation of viewers who are so much dependent on OTT, and they can watch the best of the best stuff.
yeah.
So I guess it ultimately boils down to reinvention. How do they stay relevant? And either the director or maybe the actor, they both have to figure these things out.
Yeah. And there was another piece of yours that I really enjoyed, and that was Jane Jan, Sujoy Ghosh's piece. And as I was reading it, I thought there are very few filmmakers who can make their movies as consistently worth thinking about as Sujoy Ghosh does. Like, it may or may not come together entirely, but there are a lot of things there are a lot of references that he leaves, a lot of Hindi film trivia that he leaves in his movies that people can enjoy. But do you think sometimes a film that is interesting to think about and film that is interesting to write about might not be entertaining even for the person who found it interesting? So how do you deal with that dichotomy?
Yeah, so that's one thing I have also, struggled with. And, maybe another example is, let's say, Sriram Raghavan. So
Yeah,
he puts in so many references
yeah,
that at some point you feel like, I want to look at the story.
yeah,
But again, these are these quirks that they have, as long as it doesn't sound like, I think film critics use this word called overindulgent. And
yeah,
they're putting so many references which can at times become a little like film bro sort of a thing that look at my vast knowledge sort of a thing. But as
yeah,
long as it flows in with the story, I don't mind these references and all, and I love finding these Easter eggs and those sort of things. But if it gets too much, and I think one film it didn't work for me was like that "Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota," and
Okay.
it was so many references there, and this film was so weird. I know it was like greatly appreciated. It was just very weird. I didn't think it was structurally flowing well, but when he made the "Monica, oh my darling," that had a
Yeah.
story, and that worked well. And again, there were so many references there, but they fell in line with the film.
Yeah.
So again, at the end of the day, it comes down to personal preference of what films you like, and some people might hate it or dislike it. But I like filmmakers who putting some effort, and maybe it's an inspiration to them that they want to see, or it's a tribute to them, because very rarely do you make films. So other thing about Sujoy Ghosh, which I didn't see in Jane Jan, was like he's always had this fascination for Mahabharat. So if
Yeah.
you think about, like I have written a piece, every film of his has like something related to the Mahabharata, like
Yeah.
Kahani.
Yeah.
In Durga, they talk about Satyaki, Krishna ka
Yeah.
Sarthi, or even Badla, where the mother is like,
Draupadi.
they talk about Draupadi. So even I went back and looked at his first one, which was Home Delivery. I think
Yeah.
there also he is putting Mahabharata something,
I
but
think it's
Jane
Jhankar
Ja, I
Beats,
think.
right?
Oh yes, Jhankar Beat, but I think he also made something home delivery.
Okay.
I think that had a Karan Johar also. There also there is a small scene, but I think Janija I didn't see that because it was a remake
Yeah.
of a film. But again, he did it very nicely, and I really enjoyed Janija. I think Karina was fabulous in this, and
Yeah.
Jaideep Ahlawat was also great in it. But I think as long as again, it will come down to personal preference. It doesn't impact the flow of the story. I felt that it wasn't working in Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota, but Sriram Raghavan's films, I don't see that as much. It genuinely, they flow into the narrative. I haven't seen
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, but Johnny Gaddar, it really works, especially that Anand scene, that tape recorder,
Yeah.
because it's flowing in that film. So he does it very nicely. So again, it's a personal preference, I think.
Yeah. Another one film reference that I really liked in recent times was, have you seen Family Man season 2? Rajan DK.
Not yet. I have to
Okay.
watch it,
Right,
but I've
right.
heard a lot of great things about it.
Right. So there's this, I'll just not try to spoil it, but there's this particular scene where there's some friction between North and South, but the naughty guy is playing Sach Mere Yaar Hai, the song from Sagar, R.D. Burman, which has S.P. Balasubramaniam and Kamal Hassan on it. And the Southie guy wants to change the song, and there's a little bit of banter between the two of them. So the irony is, it's a Hindi song, but most of the crew involved are actually, South Indians. And the
Yeah,
song again plays in another emotional moment, and it makes perfect sense because the song lyrics actually come into play there. So I thought that was also
hmm.
really, really great. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think Raj and DK also have this thing. They do these
yeah.
references and things.
I remember in Go Goa Gone, the start of Go Goa Gone, they had that Chiranjeevi song reference, and I was like, I was shocked when I saw that because I mean
Yeah,
they're Telugu, so
yeah,
I get why they know that, but yeah, they pulled that off very nicely. It fit into the
yeah,
story because
yeah.
zombies, yeah,
How was Gulab Gang? I haven't, not Gulab Gang, Guns and
Guns and
whatever was
Gulab.
the Guns and
Guns.
Gulab.
I haven't seen
Have you
Guns and
seen?
Gulabs yet, but I heard it's a bit it felt a bit too overstuffed is what I've heard. Like
Okay,
they try to put pack too much into it. Even the trailer looked a bit all over the place, but it's apparently pretty fun. It's quite funny and all. So that
yeah,
is that
yeah,
is there. Yeah, and
yeah, yeah.
you
Sorry, go ahead.
no you can go ahead. Yeah,
No, I was just saying that I don't watch a lot of series because it's too much time investment.
right.
So I have to watch, like I watch Made in Heaven and those sort of stuff, but I keep wondering. I know I should watch it. I should watch it because I struggle to write on web series because there is a excuse me. This needs a lot of time investment, and 10 episodes you have to watch
Yeah,
it and write it. It's like, okay, it's too much for me. So
yeah,
I keep postponing them. But I heard good things about Family Man. I think one of the
yeah,
best series ever.
yeah,
And then I was curious about Guns and Gulab.
yeah. And speaking of Heaven, right? Made in Heaven season 2 got a lot of criticism recently, and I think a criticism that can be thrown at any XL movie or any film made by the Akhtar siblings. is that, or even Dil Chahta Hai for that matter, is it started off a wave of only multiplex centric films that were in Hindi, but that were very wannabe, that were very like Hollywoody. With you could, there's this thing that Bharadwaj Rangan wrote about how he listens Hindi and hears English, and
Yeah, yeah,
Zoya
that's
Akhtar
the
herself
actor. Yeah,
confirms it
agree.
by saying, "I write in
Yeah,
English and I give it to my dad,
yeah,
and he translates it." So, do you think? And that criticism really reached a fever pitch with the Archies, which was pretty much like
yeah,
where a lot of people rightfully questioned why you needed to make an imaginary town with Anglo Indians to set Archie, and why you couldn't just make Archie stay in an ordinary Indian suburb, which is what Riverdale did. So, do you think that criticism is valid, and what are your thoughts? Because you are an admirer of the Akhtar siblings, and how do you consider their betrayal of their father's legacy of angry young man and full literate revolution and all?
yeah. No, I sort of agree with this. I think Bhardwaj Rangan mentioned it in terms of Dil Dhadakne Do.
Yeah,
I think I first remember reading that line that she thinks in English, but writes in English, but then they translate it. And Zoya Akhtar herself agrees to it. And again, I think it's a matter of their upbringing. They are from they've grown up in that zone. I guess she's comfortable, and I think the reason it didn't work, Archie's or even Made in Heaven too, because they it just didn't sound real. It sounded completely sort of fake. In Made in Heaven, it became so preachy, the same template. It wasn't nothing new. One issue, they tackled everything:
yeah,
homosexuality, abuse, every episode, and then at the end, somebody would give a speech. That guy, it. I guess that's why it didn't work. And Archie's was also, what was the whole point of it? Like,
yeah,
uh, I didn't enjoy it at all, and neither the actors were great. And I was just surprised. It's the first time in a Zoe Akhtar film I saw a tacky scene near the waterfall. It was just so badly shot. Otherwise, she's absolutely great at cinematography, but
yeah,
that scene with sounded so. I guess that was fake. And I asked the same question to Rahul Desai. I have a podcast with him.
yeah,
I felt maybe in Gully Boy also there is this scene where all these people come in, where tourists, and
yeah,
they start clicking pictures
yeah,
of that Murad's place, and
yeah.
that
Murad,
seemed like that's
he's got
yes,
this rapper's photo and he quotes the
yeah,
rap back with the
exactly.
first. Yeah, yeah,
And then all these foreigners, they were so excited. Oh, they live in this chawl sort of a place. And
yeah,
I read somewhere that that's how the actor's view is. But at least that film sounded real. So
yeah,
I guess and I don't mind, again thinking English, and that's as long as the film works. But when it gets too indulgent, you would see that in the work, and it clearly didn't work in Archie's. It clearly didn't work in Made in Heaven. It was surprising. I don't think they have ever made a bad film, but again, Archie's is not bad, but it's not memorable. They spent so much money. It's not none of
yeah,
the great performances. It will get clear, and if they continue to do that again,
yeah,
um I don't know what she's making next. But again, these filmmakers, Dil Chahta Hai, I didn't feel that it was that way, because I
yeah,
thought like Dil Chahta Hai just changed the way of how films were being made.
yeah,
And so Dil Chahta Hai was different because it was just a revolutionizing. Again, I'm a little biased to that. I didn't feel that in this. But even I think more recently, it's very clear in Zoya Akhtar's work. And I guess that's the mark of great critics like Bhardwaj Rangan. He could foresee it so early in that film that we are
yeah,
talking about it now. But yes, I absolutely agree. I think uh, I liked Made in Heaven 1, but Made in Heaven 2 didn't work. This even The Hard I haven't seen, but have heard good things about it. But yeah, we will get to know. And the other thing I remember is that, in Lagan,
yeah,
and even Bride and Prejudice, which was
yeah.
Balle Balle Amritsar to play. These Akhtar siblings, they wrote the songs in English, and that's why you see that they sound so funny. No wife
Oh,
without life, and then even in that Lagan, that English
yeah.
translation of
Ore
Ore
Panchi.
Chori,
Yeah, yeah,
Ore Chori. So
yeah,
that Elizabeth's words, it's
yeah.
been written by Farhan Akhtar. And same way in like
Oh,
this Balle Balle Amritsar to LA, these guys. So again, those were so weird songs. Like Ore Chore was fine, but that stanza, I that. So again, I think it becomes clear why it will not work, because it doesn't fit with that story. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it is. Of course, now Farhan Akhtar is not making any films, so he's more interested in acting. So
He's
we'll
making
see.
Dawn 3 with Ranveer Singh,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is
I think they were making Gile Zara, but it didn't work
yeah,
out. So
I still don't understand why he's making that movie. Like you make it with either the original Dawn, the remake Dawn. There's a new Dawn. I'm not sure people are gonna accept him because the other Dawns are still active and they're arguably bigger stars than the new Dawn. So yeah, again talking about Dawn 3, right? Do you think there's a certain paucity in stars in the current Hindi film fraternity? Like they're not really actors or stars who have that image or who have that audience connect that erstwhile stars did. And that is why we're seeing, Shah Rukh still be the top star of his industry 30 years down the line, when at the same point Amitabh Bachchan was playing Shah Rukh's father.
yes, I think, I guess it's again, I'll give the same explanation, which I've also sort of agreed with. It's not my original thought, but um, it's the rise of social media, and we've seen these Shah Rukh, maybe Ritik was the last of the superstars. After that, it's Ranveer. They're absolutely great, but uh, we've seen so much of them, and maybe social media of this. It's hard to see them, that superstar image. So, excuse me. Again, I felt like we've seen the last of the superstars, and now these days they have to be on social media because that's how you get visibility. You have to get films, and all these film stars are there. But I do miss that, that mysticism isn't there, and maybe Dawn would have worked. Dawn 3, we'll see if it works or not, but maybe it would have less criticism because we know Ranveer's antics. So, that
Yeah,
image is hard to
yeah,
take off. Okay, will he be able to do it? Because people are already making assumptions.
yeah,
So, we don't know. He might again surprise us like he did in, Khilji and or Gully Boy for that matter. But again,
yeah,
that initial discussion, it's again, people are so easy to judge also. So I guess it's true, it's maybe just social media that's not really that has caused them, and that perception that we have. So I haven't seen in last of the superstars. Maybe Devi and Madhuri and Kajol were the again last of the female superstars,
yeah,
and then Ritik maybe. But again, and of course Aishwarya is there. But again, I miss that mysticism in this. Ranveer is not on social media,
yeah.
but again, we have seen a
And
lot of him.
he's the closest to what would be a superstar among his generation.
Yes, right, right,
And
right.
and he
But
and
then I
he's
also
got
know
a
I
image also, right? The
yep,
man self-discovery, who's discovering himself, who comes of age in every movie. That's the most common
yeah,
criticism against him. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. But then I also look at, somebody like Karina. I've actually started to admire her a lot. She's just fabulous. I think again, maybe because again, she has tried to move in with the times and she's reinvented. She's been 24 years in the film industry.
yeah,
And I was just looking at her filmography yesterday. There is not one bad performance. I mean, she's done terrible films. It's not like that. But in the last 5, 6 years, Lal Singh Chadda, she was so good. Jane
yeah,
Jaan was so good. And even like even in films like Bodyguard and all, she's good.
yeah.
And now Buckingham Murders is coming up, and then so I guess that's the trick again. She's moved in with the times, and I I really enjoy Karina's performances, and I like as a person also. I mean, of course, like based on her social media, she's pretty active, but again, I it's again personal preference. Again, I'm not making sense, but I guess it works out. Like again, it's more a question of how these people reinvent themselves and have that mysticism.
Right. And your writing, right? Your blog posts, they were really at their peak in 2017, 2019. But post-pandemic, you haven't been writing much. And post-pandemic is also a time where Hindi cinema, I think, rightfully is saying the criticism that it's not really making the great films, and it's fallen far behind its regional counterparts in the south, in the Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, etc. So, have you considered writing? You've written about Mani Ratnam, but do you watch regional cinema? Do you write about it? Are you planning on going there?
Yes, and you picked it nicely. I myself, when I look at my number of blog posts I write, I want to write more, but the films have been so disappointing. Like 2021, 2022, there were hardly 10 films that you could count that I really like. But when I look back at 2012 and 2015, so many great films.
Yeah,
Like I still remember Dil Dhadakne Do, Tamasha, Piku. That year was like film after film and film. Bajirao Mastani, and 2012 had English Ayya, which is one of my favorite films, and then Cocktail, again interesting film, but it won't work. But post pandemic, again these guys are just making either remakes or there was nothing interesting in them. And I just struggled, and again, as I said, I don't know what to write about these random films, which they are, like, again, some of them might be good story wise, but they didn't have that intellectual fervor or that heart. So I myself struggle with a lot, and I started writing less, and also I've got a little bit more busy at my work, and like I have a lot. I get very limited time to write on things because I just realized, I have so much work during the week and weekend. I'm almost exhausted, but I still want. I've sometimes many a time I've thought of not writing at all because it's. I feel like I don't get any money. Not people are again as I said. I know I moved to Instagram because I was not getting any views. I was like, what is the point of it all?
yeah,
I'm writing this and nobody bothers to read. So, and I thought of diversifying to other films. The thing I have not done a lot of it is that Hindi films I've grown up with and I have the context, so
yeah,
I would know how this works or I would know the entire history of that filmmaker. But now if I suddenly start watching Malayalam film, I can't make that connections.
yeah,
So so that's why I love them, but I haven't written exclusively on them. Sometimes I do see patterns, and that I watch. So I really like Antaheen, Aparna Roy. So I wrote a little bit on that because I could see in that film itself there were patterns. Now I saw Sapta, Sagar Dache, Elo, Hemant
yeah,
Rao, Side A,
yeah,
Side B. Again, very beautiful films. I'm planning to write on those. But again, the reason I don't write a lot is because I don't have the context. And you need to grow up with those films. Like Bhansali, I've seen his entire filmography from Hum Dil De
yeah,
Chuke Sanam and
yeah,
this, and I don't want to sound stupid writing a film. So if I find a good film, I'll just write on itself, but I can't make that patterns or that connections. So that's the reason I haven't diversified a lot into other writing. And again, it's the Hindi films haven't been that good, and I don't people don't read my blog at all. So I don't feel the even motivation. But this year, that's why I'm taking it a little like, if a great film comes, I will write it. But again, Archie's I wanted to write, but there was nothing there. So many films I watched, there was nothing there. Animal I watched, I didn't find I wanted to write on it, but I might write on it, but
there's a
again,
lot to write
it
about
have
it.
a yeah.
There's a lot you can
So
write.
I might write about it. But then Shah Rukh's films, I didn't enjoy, Worth Writing or Jawan. Everybody had written it. I didn't have a new viewpoint. But
Right.
something like Jaane Jaan came in, and I really enjoyed it. Satya Prem Ki Katha, I have to write, but I like it. But yes, you're right. I think it's the function of both the industry not making good films, and I have a lot of personal stuff which was going on. I have slowed down a little bit, and then that's how I've started to Instagram. But last few months, I'm thinking, no, I do like writing, but I hope filmmakers make good films so that we can write about it. And that's how you also reached out to me. So I feel nice that people reach out to me because of my blog and
I
that sort
reached
of a
out
thing.
because I got a Insta post, and from
Yeah,
there I went to your blog,
yeah, yeah,
which is
yeah,
which is Insta
yeah.
only. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get that. That's why I
Yeah,
put the links there and this, and yeah, and I mean, I have been following. I mean, I met Bhardwaj Rangan as well. So I met him when I was in Europe for some time. So I met him there. I mean, he knows me. So I feel again, I'm not a famous person, but at least some of these people know about me, like Rahul Desai, the film critics, Anupama Chopra, and Bhardwaj Rangan. They follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. So it feels nice that I've made a mark, but yes, I wish I could write more, and I wish there were good films to write about.
yeah. So I want to ask you about Bhansali, who I think you've written a lot about. And in Bhansali's career, one sees a distinct move towards more masala post, I'd say Ram Leela or something, where his characters, his heroes are a lot more heroic. There's a lot more action in them to the point that even a Gangubai Kathiawadi is very reminiscent of a 70s Bachchan prototype. So, what do you think about this transition that he's made? And I would say, because of this transition, his movies have also gotten a bit more, I don't know, less polarizing, and also he's made a lot more tonally consistent movies. His movies have gotten a lot more consistent. Earlier, there were a lot of wild peaks and troughs. For example, you take something like Savariya or even Devdas. There are a lot of highs and there are a lot of lows, but now he's making a lot more consistent movies. So, what do you think of that change?
Yes, and you bring a great point. I remember watching Ram Leela, and
Yeah,
when that song came in, Dishkyao, Dishkyao, that thing,
yeah, yeah,
I was like, this is not the Bhansali I know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
he always had this, heart, and he would make this scale, beautiful scale, and I would never expect that, chatpata, like that masala. And it didn't work for me, that thing, but I saw the praise that film got, and people wrote to me, like I follow people on Twitter and all. They were so much in love with that song because, they felt that, this is a completely new Bhansali. And
yeah,
I think he produced Rowdy Rathod, and
yeah,
after
yeah,
Rowdy Rathod, he made this, and they were like so much praising. But for me, Ram Leela is not my favorite Bhansali film, and I wrote in my review as well. I'm just struggling to like his films, like that Ram Leela aspect. But I think because it's succeeded and he's found that groove again. So again, Bajirao Mastani was fabulous. I
yeah.
think again, maybe because it was a historical context, he couldn't do this, sort of stuff. But you could see Ranveer's character again had that
Masala.
chichorapan, what you call it. Yeah, like chichorapan. But and then Padmavat, story wise, it was again a good film, but performances wise, and it felt a little bit heavy. And now Gangubai, not my favorite film, but again, the kind of praise that it has received, uh, it's for me hard to like. I'll be very honest because this
Yeah,
is not the Bhansali I like a lot. But I could see why he's doing it again. Maybe it's worked for him and he's finding that groove in this. But for me, the purest Bhansali film still remains Devdas. It's the
agreed.
absolute pure Bhansali film. Like he got the scale, he got the colors, the visual. I didn't feel it was heavy. It was so fabulously done. Even Sabaria, I think, is one of the most purest film he could do. But I think when he's made post Ram Leela, he's got into that again masala zone. It's not my favorite Bhansali, but I guess it's working for a lot of people. And when people then start making things, what it works for them. So Hira Mandi is coming up. So I don't know how that will turn out to be, but he has this fascination for courtesans. So
Yeah,
maybe I would like Hira Mandi because it doesn't seem very much masala fight, but we can't predict now how things will turn out.
yeah.
And again, now he's making Love and War, that film with Vicky Kaushal.
I heard it's a
Again,
remake of Sangam.
yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So I was again not sure how will that turn out to be, but I hope it has that heart in him. But again, to answer, I don't think it's my favorite Bhansali. I wish, uh, I think, he got a lot of criticism for that, like his earlier films, that he's making too heavy. He's a fancy set designer and all. I guess sometimes criticism might have got to them, and we are a small audience. So while a lot of people are praising his other work, so I guess they see what fits for themselves. But yeah, it's not my favorite Pansali.
yeah. So, I think maybe it also has to do with the fact that post Ramlila he transitioned from film to digital. Maybe that's why it doesn't work
Yeah,
for you. That yeah, because you can
yeah,
see
yeah,
a certain flatness in his digital movies
yes,
when compared to his films because the sets come out really well
yes,
on film. So
yeah.
I just
And if you see,
yeah
yeah,
yeah
no, sorry,
yeah
I
go
was
on
not meant to. I was just saying, uh, like Padmavat, the cinematography looks very, very
dull,
artificial.
yeah, very dull, and the lighting is
Yeah,
also very dull.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't expect that from a Bhansali film. So it had some scenes in Bajirao Mastani was there, but the film was so good. I just love Bajirao Mastani. But Padmavat, the scenes looks a little bit. uh, fake. So that lighting was weird, and the same thing in Gangubai. It feels very awkward. I mean, the whites are great, but if you look back in Devdas even now, the colors are just so beautiful and eye-popping. Even Hamdil Dechke Sanam looks so good. But yeah, I do agree. I think something he's moved to digital. I don't understand a lot of technicalities there. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just conclude this by asking you about, like, you mentioned your, I think I've got seven of your favorite people in films now, the people you write most frequently about. So I'll just ask you about your favorites of these seven. So I'll start off with obviously Bhansali. What are your top Bhansali films, if you could rank off the top of your head?
Yeah. Uh, you know, it changes when at what stage of life I'm in.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
last year it was Devdas, but 2 years ago it was Savaria. So I think
Okay.
at that now in point in time, I think I would just say three remain consistent. I really enjoy I'll probably say Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam at this point in time. I really love that film. I think, and Devdas, these two are my favorite films of Bhansali. And
Okay.
again, I can't say more, but I'll also add Bajirao Mastani and Savaria. These four, it keeps on shifting.
Okay. And for Farhan, I mean, Farhan Akhtar hasn't been in a lot of movies. I'll just couple the siblings together.
Uh, I'll
The
say
Akhtar.
I'll say for Farhan, I'll say Dil Chahta Hai. It's my absolute favorite. I've written a book on it, and I
Yeah.
love the character of Sid and Tara's
Yeah.
relationship, one of the most beautiful relationships in films.
Yeah.
And for Zoya Akhtar, I think Luck by Chance. It's just a stunning film. It's if somebody, that's I say to myself, if somebody is a real film, genuine film lover, they would love Luck by Chance
Yeah.
because that's so many of my friends haven't seen it yet, and I,
Yeah.
keep wondering how could they not see this
Yeah.
gem of a film. It's very beautifully done, and so many things are happening in that film. But I can watch that film again and again and again. And whenever I'm sad, I put that Luck by Chance scene of Sona Mishra, and that the whole. Where he tells there's this very beautiful scene where Konkonash Sen Sharma finally wins the refrigerator. She
Yeah.
comes and sits in front of the refrigerator, and the refrigerator is open, and you could see what all thoughts are going in her mind, that she didn't even want to participate. And
Yeah.
now this guy who put a no frost no cost, that slogan, and he said, like, agar try nahi karogi to how will you win?
Yeah.
And now she just sees that she's won it. It's
Yeah.
so sad, it's so beautiful, so poetic, and I just love that film. Like, I can talk about Luck by Chance for hours.
Yeah. And Imtiaz Ali, of course. I'm curious if it's Rockstar or Tamasha. I think it's one of those two.
Rockstar. I wrote Rockstar. I get a lot of praise for, or like, comments for Rockstar. I'll say it's a switch between Jab We Met and Tamasha.
Oh.
I've really enjoyed Jab We Met. I've not written a lot on it, but I think I'll say Jab We Met, Karina was fabulous. But I think in terms of his purest film, it's maybe Tamasha. I think he's
Right.
just put his heart out there, and it's just film about he's fascinated with storytelling. I think that film, Tamasha, I'll say both of these.
Right. And Mr. Karan Johar, I think the most successfully reinventing filmmakers of our times.
Yeah, my favorite Karan Johar is still Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. I
Right.
think
This is something that Bharadwaj Rangan told when I was like really surprised. Really, that movie? Yeah.
yeah, and the reason is like, uh, it's again, if you watch it now, it might not hold up. And
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed in Karan Johar is he criticizes his older work a lot, and
Yeah.
even Rocky and Rani sort of his uh,
Corrective to
pandering to the
Kesari too.
woke generation. But I
Yeah.
want to tell him, like, we all grow
Like,
up, so he doesn't
yeah.
need to be as
Yeah.
critical. But the thing with Kabhi Alvina Kehna is it just took a great topic, and one thing I really liked about that film, and that's equivalent to what Guide did. So Rani's character is not in love with Abhishek's character, not because he's a bad husband,
But
but just because
subtly.
she doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
And otherwise all the films you see people who are going into extramarital affairs, there is the abusive husband. Even Rosie went into that
Yeah.
guide thing. But this Karan Johar film, it didn't do pander to that because Rani's character, and that's why a lot of hate was given. Like, why is she not liking this guy, Abhishek Bachchan, who is a gem of a person who actually
Yeah.
was. uh, and the other thing was how the filmmaking has been done. uh, I still remember that whole color scene, Tumi Dekho Na, so beautifully shot. That's colors, different thing. And one of my favorite pieces of writing of Rangan is on this film, and I still quote it every time, where
Yeah.
which again I learned a lot, where he talks about when Shah Rukh tells Preeti about his affair. She asks him, "Did you love him? Okay, did you love her?
Yeah.
Okay."
And Abhishek
And
asks,
for
did you sleep with
Abhishek
him?
asks her, "Did you sleep with her?" So
Yeah.
how the man is more in concerned with the sexual aspect, while the woman was the love aspect, which is such a fascinating insight. And
Yeah.
that's why that film has so many beautiful things going on. Even that
Yeah.
there's a scene where they cross the road and he brings a bouquet of roses,
Yeah.
and there is
And
so
and
much
and
tension in that
Pretty
scene.
Zinta just steps in and he just gives it to her. Yeah.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
if you see that scene, Rani is dressed as a rose.
Yeah.
She is dressed as red and
Yeah.
green, and that Shah Rukh has again that green and red, and has this bouquet, and then the scene at the home there's a rose flower. It's just so beautiful, and
Yeah.
that's why I miss this kind of films. And
Yeah.
in Rocky and Rani, it was a good film, but I missed that, like, again, this level of beauty. And
Yeah.
again, Bhansali does this, Zoya Akhtar does this, Imtiaz does this. Not many filmmakers do it, and that's how it makes you love these films, because they put a lot of thought. How beautiful that's that scene. Um, in that, again, the man is concerned with the sexual
Yeah.
aspect, which is so true. But yeah, so I would say Kabhi Halk Na Kehna, and I didn't like. I mean, Ae Dil Hai Mushkil was okay, but I really like this, and I don't mind K3G also. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great guilty pleasure. So finally, to the star whose image Karan Johar again subverted in Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna as well. If you think about it, all of a sudden, Shah Rukh Khan as the cheating husband, your favorite Shah Rukh Khan film.
My favorite Shah Rukh Khan film. Oh, it's hard, but
It's plural. You can
I
tell any number of films.
yeah, okay. I'll say my first Shah Rukh, like, I absolutely adore Shah Rukh film because it was the first film I watched. Like, I mean, when I was growing up, 11th or 12th, I remember Kal Ho Now came in, and I still watch that film and I weep. Like, I don't say this word, but I weep
Excellent choice.
copiously.
Excellent choice. It's
I'm not as big a fan of DDLJ, whatever. I
why do
mean,
you
it
why do
was
you
good
think
enough.
why do you think my name is Aman? And
Oh
this
yeah,
is where I'm
I
born.
that's how I remember that this, and that's such a nice connection because
Yeah,
that Sue film is so good, and
yeah,
that entire last climax scene where Shah Rukh is on a bed,
yeah.
it's I can't I will start crying now because it's so, and that whole tune that
And the
plays in
music is
the heart.
fabulous. The music,
Exactly.
yeah,
And Preeti Zinta is so good, the whole
yeah,
film, and how it comes together, the fun part, the emotion part, and like I just weep whenever I watch that film Kal Ho Na Ho. But after Kal Ho Na Ho, I think enjoy um like uh, Fan is again one of my Shah Rukh's favorite film. I really like Paheli and Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi, and then Swadesh. Swadesh is also so well done. I think
you forgot
very
Dil
beautiful.
Se.
Maybe that's more. That's yeah. Oh yes, that's how they'll say the thing with they'll say is
It's more a Mani
uh
Ratnam movie than a Shah Rukh movie.
yeah, exactly. So
Right.
that's how this, and a lot of people say Kabhi Ha Kabhi Na.
Yeah.
For me, Kabhi Ha Kabhi Na, it's a good film, but I watched it very late, which is like in the last 4 5 years. So I never got that connect of Shah Rukh as a loser,
Yeah.
and it's a good film, no doubt. But like a lot of people just say that's Shah Rukh's best film, and Shah Rukh himself says Kabhi Ha Kabhi Na is his best film. But
Oh, yeah, one second. Yeah. 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 You're talking about Kabhi Ha Kabhi
yeah,
Na,
so I was
Swades,
talking about
Dil
Kabhi
Se.
Ha Kabhi Na. It was a good film, but I watched it pretty late, so
Yeah.
I didn't get that connect. And of course, but I think I'll say Kal Ho Na Ho still remains my absolute favorite Shah Rukh film. I just
Right.
love that film.
Right. What about Mr. Mani Ratnam?
Mani Ratnam, I'll say I really
Remember, your most popular blog post is about,
is Dil Se.
yeah,
So I'll say that Mani Ratnam, Dil Se is a beautiful film, and again I watched it pretty late,
yeah,
so I will not call it my favorite Mani Ratnam film, although I like love the cinematography, everything. I think I'll switch to between Ravanan and Ponniyin Selvan.
right,
I think both these films were very nicely done. I really enjoyed Ravan. I have not
right,
seen the Tamil version, but I didn't mind the um, like Hindi version as well with Vikram. But I think Ponniyin Selvan just fabulously done. Both the parts I really enjoyed. The first one also, as well as the second one. And
right,
then they'll say, and what all he's made. I am not a fan of a little bit of like Roja or Bombay because they're very sad films, and
yeah,
I get very sad when I watch them, so I don't even rewatch them. And
yeah,
Tamil films, I've seen Katruveli DI, I've seen Eruvar. I have to yet to see Nayakan. I have not seen. I know his favorite best film. It's Mani Ratnam only, right? Nayakan. I have not
yeah.
seen that.
Kamal Hassan's Megan, yeah,
Oh yes, exactly. So I have to. Yeah, I will watch. That's why that's why I say the context is missing. So
yeah,
I have to watch a lot of films. Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah,
I would recommend Talapati. I personally like Talapati a lot more than Nayagan. I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
It's not. It's actually very interesting how older generation I've noticed people like Nayagan more. But among my generation, the people I know, everyone likes Talapati a lot more. I don't know, maybe because we like mafia movies and Talapati is the closest because we got Rajnikant and Mammootty in it. But yeah, it's a pretty sad film. It's Karna and he does a little subversion on it. Yeah, and it's got
Okay,
Mammootty
yeah, I
also. And it's got
yeah. Okay.
Mammootty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I've heard about, it, but I'll
yeah
watch it. I also wanted to watch that. Um, uh, Alai Puthe was also great. Alai Puthe
yeah
was I watched that, which was again, he does this. I think again, a lot of filmmakers make films on couples, but he makes films on married couples. Which
yeah
I really like.
yeah
Like how does this concept of marriage? Like Alai Puthe was there, and then the one Okay Kanmani, that
yeah
older couple
yeah.
and then the Hindi one I written about this, like
Okay, Jani.
Yuva,
You are,
Yuva,
yes,
that
you are.
Rani Mukherjee, and
Yeah,
that
Abhishek
such a great
Bachchan.
character,
Yeah,
Lalan Singh, and
yeah,
Rani was so good in that. Like I mean,
yeah,
they both were great in that. But yeah, that Mani Ratnam who does this married couple thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm actually wondering why you haven't written anything about Kamal Hassan or
Yeah,
his
I
work.
again, I know I'm wondering. I keep wondering. I have to watch firstly Hey Ram.
Right.
Like I've heard a lot of good things about it, but
Strongly
Kamal
recommended.
Hassan, yeah, Kamal
Strongly
Hassan
recommended.
again. Uh, I again, I was so much grown on Hindi films that
Yeah,
I again never got this connect with Kamal Hassan. A lot of people say Kamal Hassan great, and I've known Kamal Hassan from Hindi cinema.
yeah,
And I know it's blasphemy to say, but I don't like Sadma. It
right.
just makes me very sad, and I don't I don't want to watch that film again. But
I think
I
you
think he
won't
was
even
great.
go near Ek Duje Ke Liye by this.
Yeah, so I've seen that. So I've seen Ek Duje Ke Liye, and like again, when you're growing up, so I've seen those films. But Sagar, Sagar
Yeah,
also
even
he's
it's
there.
also a sad ending. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but again, I have to watch again. That's why I have to open my view. I really want to start watching Satyajit Ray's all films. So I have
right,
a goal that I have to watch. I love Charulata. It's fabulous, like one of the best
right.
films ever. It's so again, he made it in the '60s. I think it's so good and so sad. So I have to watch Satyajit Ray's films. But yeah, I
Yeah,
have to watch Kamal Hassan's a lot more.
yeah. And I'll also ask someone you haven't written a lot about, but someone who's like compulsory in Hindi cinema, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah,
Your
Amitabh, my favorite. Again, that's the reason so I got to know him in 2000s, when you
yeah,
actually come to life. So
yeah,
like I have seen Diwar and all those things, but I didn't grow up at that point in time. So
yeah,
I see a lot of people they saying he's the greatest actor, so another thing. But I, I like those films again, but these films seem a little far. But for me, most recently, um, I think Black still remains one of my favorite films of his
Yeah,
because he was fabulous there, and it's a very complex role, and
yeah,
it's not easy. So Black is there, and then I didn't mind Piku, but I think Piku it was a little hammy. Deepika
yeah.
was the better version there, but uh,
When
I
you
can't
dealt
think of.
with a 70-year-old guy, they are hammy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's true. But I can't think of any because he's done what all he's done recently. I really like Genie Come also, but in terms of his older films, I'll say that I think Kabhi Kabhi remains one of my favorite films of his.
Yeah,
Kabhi Kabhi and Silsila both. I think Kabhi Kabhi is again Yash Chopra's one of great films, and Amitabh Bachchan was fabulous in there. Diwar and those Kalias and all. I mean, I like those, but I personally am not a big fan of action, that
okay.
sort of stuff. So
Yeah,
again, that's a Shah Rukh films I like so much are all about love and this and
yeah,
that. So and Amitabh Bachchan has this whole angry young man. So
yeah,
um, no, but yeah, I can say Ranbir Kapoor. Ranbir Kapoor. Uh, uh, no, I'll say Tamasha only. But I really liked Wake Up Sid as well.
yeah. Rocket Singh.
Rockstar, Rocket Singh. Yeah, now things are Rocket Singh.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful film. Rocket
Ranbir
Singh,
Kapoor.
Rockstar performance-wise is great.
Yeah, yeah, and Rocket
Ranveer's.
Singh as a movie. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
you also read about music, right? So, what are your favorite? Who are your favorite composers? Your favorite go-to album that you can mention?
Yeah. So I will say that I don't understand a lot of music because I'm very naive in music. What I love is the visuals associated with music. So I've written a
Okay.
lot on songs that have a visual poetry.
Yeah,
But in terms of composers and this, I am like I, I like all of them, but my favorite has been like I love Shreya Ghoshal. I just love her. Like
yeah,
she's so mellifluous and so like her songs just move me a lot. And like even that Sun Raha and Tu, it's one of my favorite songs of her.
yeah,
And then in terms of men, I'm not a big fan of Arijit, but I really really liked KK, and he
yeah,
was great.
yeah,
It's very sorry that he passed away, but
yeah. Very
all his songs
unfortunate.
had this
Yeah.
such a like that Imran Hashmi and
Yes.
that
Yeah.
zone when he was doing like with
The Bhatt
Imran Hashmi.
movies, the Mahesh Bhatt movies.
Yeah, exactly. And KK was so good in those. And I mean, Shan as well. And I like Shankar Ehsaan, Loy, and Preetham. Again,
Yeah.
so I'm a typical 2000s grown up. I love music of all time, but um, Shreya Ghoshal is like, and Shreya Ghoshal and Sunidhi Chauhan, both of them. I really, Sunidhi has this whole, Shreya Ghoshal is like Lata, and Sunidhi
Yeah.
is more like
Like
Asha,
Asha.
who is
Yeah.
that, like
I.
those very
Yeah.
masala, like that like that crazy Kiare and
Yeah.
Bidi Jalaile and all.
Yeah.
It's so good those songs are.
Yeah. I wish someday I
So
could go to a Cindy Chauhan concert. She is
yeah,
fabulous. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Arijit Singh is going. I mean, I will not get a lot of hate, but I, I, I I mean, I'm not an expert, so I don't see a lot of diversity in his
Yeah.
songs. I
I
feel
mean,
like they all sound the
he's
same.
working in the worst era of Hindi film
Yeah,
music
exactly.
today.
And everybody's just calling him only as if there is no other singer.
Yeah.
So but I know he gets this. But so I saw that Chamkila song yesterday. I'm hoping, of course, Rahman. Who doesn't love Rahman?
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's
It's
great.
standard. Yeah. Yeah. So, is there any movie that was announced or that is being made that you had a lot of like expectations on? Because it happens to a lot of us, right? There's this movie that we hear news about, someone's working on it, but it's not completed or it's shelved or something. And you're like, oh, I wish that movie was made. Is there any movie like that for you?
Uh, uh, for me, I think there was this. I think there was this one film where Vishal Bhardwaj, he
Yeah,
was making one with Deepika and Irfan. So
yeah,
I forgot the name. It was some gangster. I don't remember the name, but I thought what a it would have been a fabulous film, you know, Vishal Bhardwaj, Deepika, and Irfan.
Yeah,
Uh, so that would have been nice, but of course, very sad, and things didn't work out. Uh, um, and apart from that, uh, I can't. I don't think so. I mean, I'm okay with this. Uh, I mean, I don't even know what all films are coming this year. But last year also, like, it was slightly disappointing with all the films. 12th Fail was good,
yeah,
but Ponniyin Selvan was my favorite. But this year, I don't think if anything is coming. Shudit Sirkar had this one with Amitabh Bachchan also.
yeah,
It never got completed. Shoe Bite. But again,
yeah,
I'm not as curious about it. But yeah, that Vishal Bhardwaj film with Irfan and
yeah.
Deepika would have been a great pairing.
Oh, this
And
reminds
this,
me, Irfan was supposed to play Sahil Ludhianvi for a Bhansali film.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
nah,
Sahil
yeah,
Ludhianvi and Amrita Pritam, and I was like, and I remember reading about it. I'm like, God, this is like a Bhansali movie waiting to be made on this story. And
yeah,
unfortunately, I don't think it can happen now at all. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that is it. Yeah. So speaking about lyricists, are you a Javed Akhtar fan or a Gulzar fan?
Uh, I'll say, I'll be honest, I'm not a big Gulzar fan because I
Okay.
think uh, uh, his songs, there is a proper term you call it. His songs are like the lyrics. I mean, some songs are great. I think Tujhse Naraz Nahi is probably my favorite song. But you know, some of his songs have this. I don't really get the symbolism of some of his songs. So I'll not say I'll dislike him, but I'm more Javed Akhtar. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not as much as the lyrics. I like music, music and the visuals and lyrics. I don't even mind like whatever is there as long as there's a foot tapping music or some beautiful songs or melodious voice. I just get floored.
Yeah.
But I'll say more Javed Akhtar than Gulzar. But
Yeah.
Irshad Kamil, more recently, he's
Yeah.
been doing some great
Yeah.
work. So I think that's,
Even Amitabh Bhattacharya is pretty good.
yeah, exactly. So I think, again, because I've grown up more with contemporary filmmakers, so I'll say, yeah, with lyricist, these ones.
Yeah. So I'll just thank you for your time, Pankaj, and thank you for speaking to me. I suddenly realized I should talk about Kabi Alvida Na Kehna, but I guess we'll do that some other day if that's possible. And I'll just conclude. Maybe I'll give you something that will make you hopeful about Hindi movies. So Shah Rukh Khan's next three movies are with Sujoy Ghosh, Rajan DK, and maybe Farah Khan. So
Yeah.
on on
I
that
think it's
note,
something related to king, some king uncle, some
yeah,
king. I mean,
it I've heard it's something like Kabuliwala but action,
oh, that's fascinating. Yeah.
but
Okay.
with Shah Rukh's daughter as the girl.
Yeah. I know Suhana. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that I.
yeah. So that so I guess maybe there's
Yeah,
something interesting coming.
no. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Firstly, thank you so much.
yeah,
I haven't spoken like this to anybody, so it's
right.
just I was a little nervous, like you know how it'll turn out. But I think I really enjoyed speaking with you. So thank you,
Yeah,
Aman, for calling me.
yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Pankaj. And I hope
Okay,
you keep writing, and I hope you keep posting and sharing your thoughts to the world.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you, thank you, Aman.
yeah.